right, hey, everybody. I think we can start the meeting, 7:01. I don't see any public participation. I think we probably have to wait to approve the minutes. We have enough people. Yes, no. Oh, we have more. I think we may have enough people, right?
We have a quorum if everyone provides a vote.
Okay. Motion to approve the March minutes.
So moved.
Second. With note that it's the typo corrected one.
All right, going around. Anne? Robin?
I didn't hear Anne's vote.
Yes.
Okay. Yes for me.
Julie?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
Tiana?
Yes.
Christina?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
And Amy. We're approving the March minutes. Any vote from you? Well, there she is. Hey, Amy, do you want to vote to approve the March minutes or?
I won't because I was not here last month.
Okay,
Sorry.
I think we're good though, right, Robin?
With your vote, yeah.
Okay. All right, March minutes approved. I don't know, do we have public participation? Go back to that.
Yes.
Chris, do you
Yes,
want to?
sorry. Hello.
Add anything?
Yeah.
Comment?
So hi, my name is Chris. I actually joined a subcommittee, not realizing it was a subcommittee.
Sorry, Chris,
so
before you speak, you have to
Sure.
give your full name and your address.
Sure. Okay, awesome. Yeah. My name is Christopher Kern. I live at 580 Salem Street in Wakefield. I wanted to basically call in to kind of like spur ideas or kind of put in your guys' peripheral of maybe something that is missing with our green initiatives. So for context, I have a Prius or a plug-in hybrid, and I really like what you guys have done with the incentives you have for homeowners to say that, you know, if you buy a plug-in hybrid or an EV, then you get a rebate to install a charging station at your home, which is awesome. When I tried to initiate that with my individual situation as I rent, it proved out to be a little bit harder than I initially thought. Logistically, it doesn't really work out. So I know it's kind of difficult to kind of have that option for renters. I know that like other states do something like a right to charge where all new buildings that are multi-unit apartments require a certain amount of charging to be installed. But I was thinking that, you know, maybe we could start on the local level if that isn't already implemented, and then also what ideas we could maybe think about to bring to multi-unit apartments that are already established, right? Because to have new buildings would be important, but there's a lot of buildings that are already built that a lot of people do rent, and to not have charging there kind of decentivizes people to start thinking about, do I want to buy an EV or not? Unfortunately, in my situation, because there wasn't a way to reliably charge at my apartment, I decided to go with a plug-in hybrid because that logistically made more sense. But if we had more of a potential solution for this individual case, then it would incentivize people in our community to be able to consider EV charging while they rent here in Wakefield.
Thanks for that. Appreciate you calling in and saying that. Which subcommittee have you joined?
Oh, I didn't join. I attended. And that was last week's with, I believe it was public engagement.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a community engagement. And I was going to share, if Chris hadn't come, I was going to share this perspective that as a report out from the subcommittee. But yeah, absolutely noted, Chris.
Great. Yeah, just so you know, we do have the stretch code that covers new buildings, adding a certain amount of charging to new construction.
Awesome.
But as far as existing, yeah, we don't have anything on the books to mandate that. Obviously, it would be up to the landlord to offer that, but we know that all landlords won't do that. So
Sure.
yeah, we can definitely look into ways that we can make that more accessible.
Yeah, and I know it's difficult to be able to do that, but I do think it is important, not just for my individual case scenario, because I do have charging at work which I can do, but I know for like as a public accessibility, if we want to be fitting that initiative, then it would make sense to have that potential solution there. Speaking anecdotally, I rented from another town and I moved because there was a fire in the complex. So I decided to move here to Wakefield. But when I inquired about like fire codes and things that could have been like preventative measures, because it was an old building and it was grandfathered in, a lot of the codes didn't necessarily apply to that building, which in my eyes I can understand, but at the same time there wasn't like active steps being taken to try to circumvent some of the holes or the gaps because it was grandfathered in. So I understand it's easier to say for new buildings, let's do this new thing, but there's a lot of other buildings that already are existing and will probably never be addressed in terms of charging. So yeah, it's difficult, but I was thinking like if there could be an incentive for landlords to say, okay, well, if you install X amount of charging stations or X amount of like outlet plugs, then we'll pay for half of it or something like that. To say like that exists. So if enough their tenants say, hey, we want charging, then there'll be that option to make sure that they're not biting the full cost. But of course that's going to be like landlord to landlord depending on what they think. But to have something to kind of ease the cost might kind of aid in that situation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for your suggestions. We'll definitely take a look into options there.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is the citizen warrant on the multifamily recycling. Tiana, I don't know if you want to say something about that.
Sure. So I thought it worth having a conversation in this body about this in advance of the town meeting, just to see if we as the ESC had any position on it. I certainly have a perspective, which I'll share in a moment, but the warrant as it reads, I think I sent this out to everyone a day or two ago when I found them published. The article is, so it's a citizen warrant from, so a citizen brought this up, not a committee or the town council, and it's to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws by adding as chapter 184 thereof the following: trash and recycling. The town shall offer trash removal and recycling services to all residential properties, regardless of the number of dwelling units there may be in any multifamily residential building, or see what the town will do about it. So as we've looked into this, or, I was certainly exploring how we might encourage there to be access to recycling for multifamily buildings. Sort of a year or so ago, and we had approached this with the health department And did we need a bylaw or a regulation, or sort of what is the appropriate path? And it sort of died on the vine. I stopped following up on it with the health department, which seemed to me like the best route to take. I am concerned about the way that this particular citizen warrant is presented, and I don't know that it's the right way to approach trash and recycling services, or particularly recycling. Like I acknowledge there's a gap there, but I'm not sure that having it be a town provided service for all residences necessarily solves it in the way that we would want to. That's just my personal perspective on it. But I know Anne and Joe at the DPW have been sort of looking into it and have a lot more considerations from the trash and recycling contract side.
Point of order. So when I read the article, it doesn't necessarily say that it's free, right? That it just has to be provided. Is that their goal? Or were they expecting it to be at the same cost as those who receive it today? Does anyone?
I think we know what is in the citizen petition.
Okay.
I mean, as I read it, I would assume it means covered, you know, by your taxes like it is for anyone else. But I don't know that it is that's certainly not explicitly in there.
Julie, did they come to?
I don't know who submitted it, and I've not had a conversation with them. So I only know what is in the warrant as published.
Robin, they have
I was
not.
gonna say, yeah, did they come to you guys to, as a?
No, they did not come to us. So, and I don't know the people who signed it either. I mean, I have, through my 6 years on the council, been approached by people, you know, renters and owners in multifamily businesses, or multifamily dwelling units that have complained that they do, you know, as taxpayers, they do not get the same services as people in single family or smaller multifamilies. And I really respect the work that Tiana and others did last year, you know, where we found that these things cannot go into the trash stream. But my understanding is that, like, the way that our zoning is done and our kind of rules have been is that developers are supposed to provide at least trash, which I think they all do. The problem is that then they're long gone, right? They save a lot of money by not putting in recycling, and then they're long gone by the time, you know, 10 or even a couple of years, residents have to want to do this. So I don't know, Joe and Anne, and I know there's huge fiscal consequences to this, but it is a fair question, and something I think that I like this article just because it gets us talking about it.
So I could start. So one is, we have currently are in a contract with Republic, and that actually expires June 27. So that contract is an excellent contract. We currently don't pay any processing fee for our recycling. So just to keep in mind, Melrose just redid their contract. They sent an RFP out. They are going with Casella. And so one of the issues I can see with that contract is there's a processing fee. So if you have 20% contamination in your recycling, then you pay a processing fee of $120. If it goes to 25%, it is $240 to process. They're charging you a premium to process that recycling. So we're going from 0 to potentially $240 a ton to get rid to process the recycling. So that's the number one issue I see. So currently, right now in Wakefield, we curbside pickup for 4 and less. Our contamination rate has been running at 20%. So we're at the $120 processing fee if we were on the Melrose contract. And potentially, I think with the influx of people who aren't used to recycling, and I'm guessing in many of these bigger, larger buildings where they're not offering recycling, our contamination rate could be, we would have to do a lot of education, I think, to get that down. And I actually think we need to work currently now over the next 3 years to get our contamination rate down at the curb. So how they do the contamination rate is they take our load and they drop it on the floor of Greenworks, and a gentleman comes out or a woman comes out and looks at it and says, it looks like about 20%. And that's how they do our contamination. Doesn't sound very scientific to me. And right now it's okay with me a little bit because we're not paying, but when we start paying for a processing fee, that scares me. So that I think is number one, just something to think about. And that's one of the issues I could see. Secondly, when we saw this article come up, and Joe and I have been talking to them all along, but we talked to the major three carriers. So we talked to Republic, Casella, and Waste Management. So I think all were stunned with my question that would you be able to pick up at units larger than 4? And they were all, one said we would have to visit every property. We would want an easement to go on their property to get there. Because usually the dumpster isn't right at the front, it might be in the back. So so they would want an easement to go on the property in case there was an issue. So logistically, I think just to start getting that kind of materials together would be some work and some time. I'm not certain. All of them thought a year and a half or 2 years before they could pull it all together. I mean, we'd have to go at RFP, would have to put it out to bid, would have to have all these requirements. And I think we would have a lot of work on our end to do before we could actually even do that. There's all things like your house has a 64-gallon container. If you go to an apartment building that has 20 units, are we dropping off 20 toters or are we dropping off a dumpster? Because that's not equitable either. If they're getting a dumpster and you have a 64-gallon, what happens if on the first day, unit 1 fills the dumpster? Unit 2 through 20 now have no trash for that week or no recycling or whatever the case may be. Another thing in the contracts that we've talked about when we talked to the 3 big disposal companies was that they will no longer offer contracts that are manually picked up. So they don't want to, so we now have manual pickup. So where the guy's on the back, he throws it into the back of the truck, moves to the next stop. They will only do automated contracts. So our next contract, recycling and trash will both go to automated. So one man in the truck pulls up, gets the uniform size barrel, toter, puts it into the truck. That would cause some issues, I think, with some of the larger ones on whether it was a dumpster or a toter. They don't like to pick up more than 10 to 12 toters at a stop. It's not cost effective. It's too time consuming. I'm trying to look at what else was on my list.
It's too bad we don't know kind of, I mean, I think there is this kind of equity concern, but like, it's too bad we don't know whether like they really feel like they want recycling, and then we could talk more about maybe a central place to recycle things. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that this will open a dialogue, because we've done so much around, even if you live in multifamilies, you can bring your cardboard, you can bring your metal, right?
Yep. Light bulbs.
Light bulbs. So, I mean, I'm hoping that at the very least we can kind of, I think we have to get to what the core problem is. I mean, I think trash is being picked up, right? And they're probably paying for it as part of their HOAs.
Correct. I'm assuming they have a dumpster and it's getting picked up that way. And I don't believe they are offering recycling to their tenants.
The newer units or the newer buildings are, and I don't know whether that's by statute or the zoning board. Like I did a tour of the Tarrant Lane or Astor or whatever it's being called last week, and they have they have recycling bins there. So do you know what the newer building rules are, or is it still just requiring, we are not mandating recycling?
I haven't seen anything that mandates it.
Because that's another thing. I mean, it's a little bit talking to Chris's concern, right? We can do that for new buildings, but it doesn't really help us a whole lot with existing buildings.
Well, and that's why the approach that I was taking last year when I was digging into this was to approach the health department, which is the body that, or health department or the Board of Health that does the dumpster, the hauler permits. Like any building that wants a contract with a private hauler, that hauler has to be permitted, and the contract, like, it sort of needs to be approved through the health department for that hauler to come to town. And there's no regulation currently, like they have to submit a permit, it has to be approved, it gets reapproved each year, but there's nothing saying that they have to provide recycling as well. So that's why we'd approach the health department about it as a way because that then applies to any private haulers that are supporting residences in town.
But-
I'm just looking at the stats I had from when we were looking at it a year ago. Some of the newer building, 598 North Avenue was built in 2020 and it doesn't have recycling. So I don't think there's anything.
Okay,
I
so
think
there's still
I would
no,
I say, there's generally a trend, so building, newer buildings might do that because it's starting to be expected by the market, but there are definitely some newer buildings, from 2016, 2017 that don't have recycling, at least from the materials I was able to find. And I believe it was about 35 multifamily buildings in town that don't have recycling, and it was about 1,100 units worth. So 1,100
So
households.
to confirm, one of the things we're talking about is the easement issue. Are there any multifamily properties that, I mean, what's the cutoff for those that get normal street side pickup service versus those that have to get an independent for even the trash pickup? So if when we're talking about taxes, the implication would be that those that get independent service probably aren't getting it paid for through taxes, or maybe they are. So what's the cutoff there? Is there a cutoff by at which it has to be independent? And if so, is that subsidized through taxes?
So the curbside pickup is offered to 4 units or less.
And then is the independent pickup subsidized or not through town's taxes?
It is not.
Okay.
but
And
correct
as
me if
far
I'm
as the
wrong, Tiana,
easement,
it's these companies that are picking up dumpsters with mixed trash, assuming that if they don't have a recycling service, they're putting everything in one place. And say they put a mattress in there and recycling and trash, under state law, that's illegal, right?
Yeah, but it's not being enforced.
Okay, so it's illegal, but not being enforced. So
And it's,
dumpster
well, and
companies are
it's,
still willing to pick it up.
and it's hard to enforce because they might empty 15 dumpsters into that one truck. So that truck gets to the tipping spot at the trash facility, and yeah, there's some recycling in there, but which of the 15 dumpsters did it come from? And at least, so this is from the talk we got from Gretchen at Republic Services back a year ago. She said it's often just hard for those organizations to trace back to whose recycling or whose not trashable material was in the trash. So it is not well enforced. The other thing I want to mention on as far as the private haulers and the easement issue, presumably if they have a service that is coming into the back parking lot of a particular multifamily, that they have a private contract with them. So if they're able to come in for the trash, could that service that they are privately contracting with also provide recycling without additional concerns about easements? I would assume so. I don't know if all haulers provide both trash and recycling services though. So in some cases, it might require someone to get a different hauler.
And there may not be space for the dumpsters because a lot of these buildings were only permitted with trash in mind. it seems to me like the low hanging fruit is to at least say anything built new has probably add compost to it, right? At least space, kind of like, compost ready, if not an actual dumpster. But it doesn't help everything that's already there. It'll be an interesting.
Well,
It'll
I
be an
think
interesting discussion.
anybody can sign up for compost and put their bin out. I think if you live in a multifamily.
That's true. That's true, right? Will they do that?
Yeah,
I think they will. It's just a matter of having a place to put it, and some some landlords or building managers may not
Yeah.
allow you to have it or want you to put it out at certain places, so. Do we, as a body, want to make any sort of collective statement about the citizen warrant?
I'm hesitant to make a statement without knowing more than just the warrant, without the presentation or being able to ask questions. I support everyone recycling and having trash pickup. I could say that, but going further, I think it's too soon.
I wonder whether we could say something like, we discussed it. We don't know the details, so we don't have a position on it, but we as a body would be willing to work with the town to, try to make incremental improvements or something. I mean, no commitments, right? But just like we as a body, we're probably the right place to talk about this. And we have tried to talk about it. So I don't
And
know,
we would
maybe
encourage-
we'll just hit the same wall. I don't know.
And we would encourage people with ideas and concerns about recycling to come to us to discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a staff person we have the DPW, which is fabulous. You guys are so busy, right? Like we could work with the DPW and kind of be, the place where this gets talked about. I think that's as far as I would be willing to go. Other than to say that as we talk about the climate plan and things, I think that this will feed into some of that from the residential stuff too, eventually.
So
So anybody,
proposing a motion
yeah,
to that effect? I can try to capture some words.
Maybe it's just something that says the ESC, was interested in to see this coming forward, and agrees in concept, or like, or like what you said, Robin, like in generally agrees that recycling and trash collection is an important, I don't even think like it should be, is an
Should be
important part, is an important part of
accessible.
environmental sustainability and,
should be accessible to all residents of Wakefield.
something like that. But it's not, obviously not binding, because I think we definitely have to look at the costs.
Yeah, I guess. So we don't want to come out to support this warrant because we don't have all the details, and so I'm not sure making a statement at all would benefit anything, considering we're not really supporting the warrant. So yeah, I just don't know if it makes sense.
I guess what I would just say is, like, I feel like if anybody on this body, and maybe I might do it as well, like could just stand up and talk about that we had a conversation, but not represent that we decided on anything.
Right.
If people are kind of comfortable with that, I would just say that, like, I'm likely to say something like that, and maybe Tiana will too. It just says, and Tiana, we've looked at this before, right? So you can say that.
Yep.
But there's no statement from this committee.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
Which I think under our First Amendment rights, we're all allowed to do anyway, but yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next agenda item is Earth Week outreach campaign. So I know that we had talked about doing some sort of campaign or challenge of some sorts to promote during Earth Week. And I know that the community engagement group has put forward ideas, but I just wanted to get kind of if anybody had any other ideas besides what the community engagement came up with, you know, besides just kind of communicating basic tips on, you know, reducing carbon footprint and reducing waste consumption and all that. There's anything else that anybody has thought of that we can kind of promote during Earth Week?
I'd love to share what I was planning and get feedback, and maybe folks can build upon these ideas.
Yeah.
So we found, as we discussed last time, the theme for this year's Earth Week or Earth Day is planet versus plastics. And there's some, like earthday.org has some great resources about this. They have 2 levels of plastics quizzes. And I took them, and in fact, the second level is hard. I was successful on level 1, but level 2 is hard. So I was planning to post on separate days, like a few days apart, each of these quizzes and encourage folks to reply to the post with their score. You know, maybe get a little community competition just around, you know, how well folks know plastics and their impact on the environment. They also have a plastics calculator where you can input how many of particular items you use in I don't know if it's in a day or a month, water bottles, straws, diapers, et cetera, and it gives you a like overall plastic impact metric, and an opportunity to say which of these things do you think you can reduce. So that I would post that, ask folks to share it and choose one of the areas. Like the sort of campaign challenge would be to choose one area of your life where you're using single-use plastic and pledge to swap it out or reduce that single-use plastic in some way, and share that back again to the group or to the post. That's all still very online. We talked about maybe then having some sort of prize associated with that, or we like raffle something off to all of the people who post their plastic reduction challenge. I have not yet looked into the details of the rules of raffling, so I don't want to commit to doing that until we understand, you know, any sort of restrictions on that. But you know, I thought maybe it could be some, you know, a prize that is related to reducing your single-use plastics, a reusable, you know, sandwich baggies, or a great stainless steel water bottle, or, you know, like a little package of those sorts of plastic reduction items. But again, not until we understand the rules of the road on raffling. So those were the sort of online Earth Day specific things. And then additionally, we're gonna, of course, share about the Wakefield Warrior litter pickup event, which is happening on the 27th at the Galvin 10 to noon. So they're hosting that. You know, we'd obviously promote participating in that as well as an active event, but we don't want to replicate or compete with that. So would love feedback, ideas, suggestions on any of those things.
We also have that those recycling quizzes that I sent you that we can also you know, post about.
Oh yes, yeah, there are a lot of quizzes out there.
Yeah.
There's some good ones from the Master Cycle folks as well. Yeah, I've got a whole list of posts. Like all month, I've got plenty of Earth Month posts. Folks are welcome to send more. But yeah, we can do more quizzes as well. And I would love you all to engage on those posts. Like if you see them, I know a lot of you like them, but if you take the quiz and want to post your score, I think sometimes it just takes someone other than me replying to a post for it to get a little little more interesting. So,
Maybe say Board of Wordle, try this, right?
yeah.
So I guess, as far as that campaign, is that something? So you're gonna post Earth Month stuff for the rest of the month and then focus on that campaign during Earth Week? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
So do you have stuff that you are gonna be posting every day on that, or is it just like what was the plan for that?
Well, so between the 2 different plastics quizzes and the recycling quiz, the calculator, and then the campaign, I was going to sort of split those into separate days.
Got it. And are you gonna include, like, besides just doing the quizzes and stuff, like information about plastics and why people should reduce it and all that?
I can. A lot of those are embedded in the quizzes also.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if somebody's not gonna take the quiz, they could still see, information about why.
Yeah, there are a whole mess of posts available, or like info available on that website. So I'll pick some different pieces.
Yeah.
We did talk, and so I guess I want to offer it to others if anyone wants to, write something for the item or the patch. So it changes medium, so it's not just social media. We would love for someone to be able to do that. That's comfortable in the writing sphere.
About what?
It's, I mean, it could be anything related to plastic. I mean, you could be just like what you learned from taking the quiz, and then, sharing it or something, or how you've, changed your life by reducing plastic or something, but just trying to connect it to a different audience or.
I mean, we could just write an article about that campaign.
Yeah.
We could
We're
talk
just looking
about the
for someone to
water truck.
volunteer. What?
We could talk about the water truck as a Earth
Mhm.
Day thing, I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna
I've
be all,
got that lined up as one of the posts, but that'd be a nice article too.
Do we have stats on how many gallons of water have gone through the water truck?
it's pretty new.
I'm looking to you, Anne.
We don't. I can look into it and see if we can figure that out. Sure.
We should probably be tracking that, Anne. That's a really good idea. Even
Like,
if
how
it's
many
like every time
bottles
it's
have
out.
we saved? How many plastic bottles have we saved by using that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would guess like how many events it's been to, and then how many, like the volume of water. That'd be great to know.
And even if we know it's gonna be at some upcoming events, like, hey, keep an eye out for it. I noticed that the town, I don't know whether Tiana, you're coordinating with the town, but the town did a great post today too on Earth Day.
Jen is like doing her
Jen
own thing. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure
We're
Anne's
not
like smiling.
coordinating.
I know she's behind that somehow.
No, Jen does a great job, and we had talked to her about trying to beef up the post for Earth Month. So all month she'll have a lot of stuff out there.
Nicely done.
All right. Well, if folks come across, I know you're all getting media from all sorts of other places too. If you see really good stuff, feel free to send it over to me also to repost. Always happy to have more things. I'm trying to post like just about every day this month, so send things my way.
Great, thank you. All right, next is updates from subcommittees. Lily, you want to do waste reduction?
Sure. Sorry, I have to just find my notes. I think the big things were that the school waste reduction, and actually, you know what? Before I do that, I wanted to stop and ask a quick question about the final waste pickup for tomorrow. I don't know if you or Tiana know, or we still needed to do some pickup with Cheyenne to kind of help with that?
Oh, food rescue?
Yeah, food rescue.
I have not heard otherwise, but she
Okay.
hasn't reached out. I assume we will get a ping at 1 o'clock tomorrow saying, please go to this school or that school. Like,
Okay.
sometimes it depends on which, like how many schools have stuff. So I imagine we'll just learn tomorrow which schools have a bulk of things for us to go get.
Okay. So yeah, there'll be a big school waste pickup tomorrow for food donation. I think we rolled out the compostable trays in some of the schools. It sounded like it was going well in Walton, but we had some stumbling in some other schools. But I don't know if that's been resolved yet. Melissa, you might have more intel on that than me.
Yeah, so there's an issue with the company that we're ordering the trays from. They could substitute the wrong tray when they don't have the right one in stock. So it's not a consistent, we'll be getting the right tray for composting all the time, and that we'll know for sure that that's always going to happen. It's unfortunately it's not like that. So we've stopped when we found out that Woodville didn't have the correct trays, we stopped composting trays there and we haven't gone back. But the other two smaller schools who we've seen that they are using the correct trays, they're still composting the trays. At any point they could get the wrong trays too. So it's just, it's really hard to manage. And so I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do.
Okay. Well, that's too bad, but hopefully that can get resolved. I think the other thing was, unfortunately, the recycling day had to be hopefully postponed,
It's
right?
being rescheduled.
Yeah.
To
It's being
June
rescheduled.
29th.
Oh, great. That's excellent.
June 29th from 9 to 11. It's gonna be 2 hours this time. So that is good news. And so we'll be there as planned, as we previously planned. And we have that battery box, which we were hoping to get at the library, but unfortunately they've declined because of safety reasons. So we won't be having it at the library, but we'll be having it at that event. And then any space that we have left over after the event, hopefully, and your option of town hall is still open. So we'll have that box, and we'll have the plastic pet food recycling as well, and other things that we had already planned.
Yeah, I don't know if there were any other big points from us. I know we're meeting again in a couple of weeks. Are those the big items?
Yeah, I think it's just we had talked about maybe planning some sort of repair cafe or sports equipment swap or something along those lines. So just like some sort of waste reduction event. So we can talk more about it at our next meeting, but I think it's something that we should focus on for the coming months.
Yeah.
All right, next, community engagement.
Yeah, so other than the stuff we already talked about, we'll be posting about Arbor Day, which is coming up on April 26th. We already talked about Earth Day and the Warrior litter pickup. We'll be tabling at the farmer's market, but not on the day that we had asked about at the last meeting. That date's not available. So we will return to you with a new date and seek volunteers for a new date. Robin, we don't have a proposed new date yet. Okay. We are trying to set up a tour of the Black Earth compost facility. So there is a survey going around for interest and availability. I sent it around to our email list and to the folks who would come on the MRF tour. And I'll post about that as well. So please take the survey if you're interested in a field trip to the Black Earth compost facility. I think it's going to be really fun. It might smell bad, but it's going to be really fun. And as of today, we are collecting used eclipse glasses at Rada's boutique downtown. She had posted about program for sending them to be reused at the next eclipse down in Latin America in the fall. So I approached her about, well, since you're centrally located, would you host a box and collect them so that we're not each individually mailing 3 glasses to whoever? So she has a box that'll be there for the next month. I posted about it. And yeah, so next time you're in town, stop by, drop off your glasses. And I think that's it that I can think of. Robin, Julie, anything else?
The bee event is still in the works.
Yes, we're trying to find a date for the pollinator, the bee expert and the bees.
Is that allowed at the library?
You know, the library didn't get back to me about that, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm sure that if it isn't, we can find somewhere else. It is fully enclosed though, so I mean, they bring it into schools and libraries all the time. So I don't think we're asking them to do anything untoward. But I don't think they actually got back to me on whether they are excited about it. I'll follow up. We also don't have a date yet. So I'm
We
confident
don't
we
have
can find,
confirmation. We don't have a confirmation from the speaker, right?
right, not yet, no.
Okay.
I'm
I
confident
mean,
we
so
can
we're
find
also
another day.
tabling at the
Sure.
lake event,
Yes.
Festival
Yeah,
of Light.
and we got volunteers last meeting for that, so should be good there.
All right, cool. Thank
Cool.
you.
Mhm.
Next is the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee. Anne has awesomely submitted our grant for the technical assistance for the decarbonization roadmap. Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you so much, Julie, for getting the town council approval for that grant and their commitments. You did an amazing job as well.
You were right there next to me, so it was a team effort.
Well, you put together the presentation, so
Yeah.
presented it and warded off any oppositions.
There's always going to be opposition, you know, and I really hope we get the grant. Because
Yeah, I don't know when we
really
would
hope we
find
get the
out.
grant.
And do you have any idea when we would find out?
She just, when I sent it in, I got an email back saying, thank you, it's complete. And then it just said at a later date. So I'm not even sure how many how many towns or cities will apply. So I think that'll take into consideration. So I'll follow up with them next week and just see if they'll let me know how many did apply.
Awesome, thank you.
Melissa, you didn't get back to Dylan, did you? I mean, so for those who don't know, who don't sit up till 10:30 watching town council on Monday nights, one of the counselors had some questions and he reached out, Counselor Vincent reached out to the Department of Energy Resources and they provided some really good information and they encouraged us to apply. And so I just want to make sure we thank them for that and close the loop. Have you talked to Dylan?
No, I
I have.
You
So
have?
I followed up after Councilman Vincent had talked to him, just to follow up and make sure we were all set with our green communities and that was in good standing. And I did thank him. I said, I know you've gotten a lot of inquiries from Wakefield. And he said, of course, no problem. That's what he does. So he was
Yeah.
fine.
awesome.
Good. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we will see how that goes. Hopefully we get the grant for the decarbonization roadmap will be for municipal operations. So we would be working with consultants to do that roadmap work. And the subcommittee is also working on gathering information from other municipal climate action plans for the residential and business piece of our climate action plan. So we will be putting that information together into Google Docs and seeing, where we want to focus our actions and resilience planning for residential and business communities. So yeah, that is basically it from that committee. Stefan, I don't think you held your green space, right?
Nope, I'll give it a, yeah, there for procedural reasons, we had to reschedule for about 1 month out. Because once we couldn't hold it on that day, we officially have to account for all the other town meetings, of which there are many. But the only thing that came out of that discussion was, well, one, my edification on the proper administrative process for posting public meetings. And second, just ask the attending members to just brainstorm a little bit on major areas that they would want to bring for discussion for next session.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, green business.
I feel like I've talked a lot already. Christina, do you want to give an update?
Sure, I can give a little update. So we, for the green business, we are still in the beginning stages of developing our pilot program. So we're currently in the process of just really reaching out to our contacts and figuring out the process so that we can help businesses. So for example, recycling cardboard, what does that look like? How can we sort of promote these to businesses and support them to be able to incorporate that into sort of the way that they run their business. So we're kind of in the beginning stages and just developing the program and continuing to do so. Tiana, do you have anything specific? No.
Oh, only to say, like, as if you think of, if any of y'all think of businesses in town that you think are leaning in a green direction or have interest in moving in to be more sustainable, just sort of keep a running list of those in your mind. At some point, we'll put out a call for candidates for the sort of pilot group of them. So just think about that in regards to any of the businesses that you frequent in town or that you're aware of. So feel free to send them our way at any point. Oh, these folks would be great.
All right, thank
I
you.
mean, I guess going back to our conversation on condos as well, like those are businesses. Like we may want to think about wrapping them in somehow. Just it's kind of a random thought, but if you think about them not from the residents or the renters or the owners, there's some business that's running those things.
Yeah, that's like a whole other realm of business besides the ones that we're targeting, but it's an interesting thought. All right, updates from our member groups. Amy, do you have any updates from school committee?
I don't have any updates. Maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago, they did present, the curriculum coordinators did present the STEM update of where they were heading. You could probably watch the video, or I could find out exactly which video it is and tell you the timestamp, so you don't have to keep fast forwarding. And this will be my last meeting because I'm not running for re-election. So when the new committee convenes, their next date is April 30th, and they'll set up new liaisons, so you'll have someone new for a year. It was really nice working with you guys. I learned a ton, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and
Yeah.
giving us your input. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Amy, thank you so much for serving on school committee and on this committee. It's really appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any students on, so we will go by that one. Anne or Joe, anything with DPW?
So our rain barrel sales in full effect. We've sold I think 63 the last I checked, which is amazing. We still have a month left, so that's great. I am trying to work with Orbis to get some backyard composters and try to squeeze that in at around the same time so we could maybe have a similar pickup as the rain barrels. Hopefully next week we will start collecting eyeglasses and phones, used phones at town hall. So Trying to think of things that people want to do. We do have people come in and ask us questions at the counter at DPW. So those two have come up recently. So we thought we'd give it a try and see if we could add those to our recycling group.
And where would those go?
So most likely we'd start at town hall, you know, and have them drop there.
No, I mean, where would they go for like recycling?
So the eyeglasses would go to the Lions Club in Woburn. They're happy to accept them. And then the phones, we do have an electronics recycler, Complete Recycling, who's willing to take them. But I want to see if I can shop them around, because if they will charge, then they do give them out to people who don't have a phone and they can call 911. So I'm hoping that a lot of the phones we get can be charged and then given to like women's shelter or the homeless, and see how that goes. So I'm still researching where they can go besides the recycler.
Okay. Well, you'd have to, I guess, identify if it works still, or, yeah. Make sure you have all the chargers to test them out.
And that's about all.
And I know the pit is open. Anything new in terms of the collection bins?
We're back, the metal dumpster is out and the cardboard dumpster is out, and we've taken a lot of leaves already in a few days. People are waiting, so it's going well. It's all cleaned out. Have you been down there? Looks really good.
I actually drove by. My mom lives off of the Hot Street, and I noticed how clean it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And do you know if we're going to be able to have the cardboard dumpster? Is it just at the pit now?
So currently it's just at the pit. We have brought up that to keep one at town hall if we can. We do have that parking issue, but we're trying to work it out. So I am working on it.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Julie, this is your last meeting as town council member, and we just want to say thank you so much for everything you've done for ESC, and we wouldn't be here without you, and we hope that you'll stay on and become.
Thank you. This is the proudest thing I have done as a counselor in the 6 years, was forming this committee. And I think we've gotten a tremendous amount of work done. There's a lot more to do for sure. And frankly, there was a lot of low-hanging fruit in Wakefield because not much had been done, but I'm really proud of this group. And I thank every single person for being a part of it, you know, from the students to Robin and Melissa. I think you guys have served the whole time, right? So
I haven't.
you haven't? Robin, are you the only original one, Robin? Well, and Anne's been around since the beginning. Anyway.
No,
I
actually,
don't-
I think I predate Anne. Anne got
Really?
hired because what's her face left.
Oh, Claire was on, right? Anyway,
Yep.
anyway, we don't need to go back, but thank you. And I am not disappearing. You know, obviously I'm not going to be on the council and I won't have that vote. I'm really hopeful that we will still have a lot of support, from the council and from local bodies, and that the train has left the station and that it can't be turned around, but I will be around to, you know, lend my voice for whatever it's worth. So yeah, so as we said, just in terms of updates, we did get the climate action, the climate leaders grant, to be able to be submitted. So that's good and super hopeful on that. We increased the budget for the ESC to $2,000. So I think, you know, I guess I won't be on necessarily, but and you'll have a new representative from town council, but it would be nice to kind of think about what to do with that. And, you know, I know at one point pre-COVID, we were thinking about really pushing zero waste events and being a presence at events. So maybe there's something to do there. It would be my vote, but, and then the other thing is, I will send it over to you, Melissa, is, Counselor, Vincent, who now has a real stake in the climate stuff because, he really got involved and did a lot of thinking about this.
And
there's
supported us.
And supported us. There's an MMA webinar coming up next week, on inspiring climate action planning to practice. So I just sent it over to you and hopefully one of us can participate in that and report on it. But I think that's all I have. I mean, the meeting before that, we got the bike ped plan through, which I also consider a sustainability effort. So, you know, hopefully we can keep the momentum going. It's not always popular, as we know, but that's our part of what serving is. So it's good.
Thank you, Julie.
Sure.
Julie, I don't know if this is a town council piece, but are we getting new other members also? We have a couple of open.
We had 3
Well,
seats.
Lily and Melissa, we voted to reappoint.
Yeah, so we had 1 open seat.
That's great news.
Yes, sorry. We reappointed them on the Marathon Monday meeting.
Did
I
we
think
not
it's-
get any additional new?
No,
I think there's 1 or 2. It's a little unclear to me. Is there 1 or 2 positions open?
there's 1.
1.
Yeah.
So that
And
will
it's a
be
short-
advertised until
The
it.
short term, it's a short term, it's to finish out Chris's term. So it's
Right.
only for like a year or so.
Right. So if you know people who want to be involved, let them know.
Julie.
I'm gonna wait and see when on the 23rd, I'll wait and see if anybody's applied. I might apply. I also am really personally, we had a sustainable Wakefield group, which was a grassroots, actually never even got certified as a nonprofit. That was how I kind of got started when we did the plastic bag ban, and I'm kind of debating whether I want to go kind of back down to the grassroots activist world or and maybe there's a way to do both, so we'll see. But either way, you're going to see my face on this, whether it's public participation or as a member.
I think Chris is still on the line, so Chris, it would be a way for you to engage on a different level if you're interested in applying. You don't
We have
need
an
to-
open seat on the committee if you're interested.
Thank you. I'm flattered. Definitely want to learn about you guys some more and attend that event. I was going to attend the event that's been postponed to the 27th, so I'm definitely gonna try to come out and see you guys then. But I'll definitely think about it. All
right. All right, thank you, Julie. And Sharon is not here, so we don't have any updates from commissioners. Our next meeting is May 9th. Is there any other matters anticipated? All right, motion to adjourn.
Happy Earth Month.
Happy
So
Earth
moved.
Month.
So I heard a first, I'll second the motion.
All right, Anne? Need to come
Sorry,
up.
yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Tiana,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
and Stefan.
Yes.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a great night.